Hope you've been enjoying yourself. Yes, I thought I should get on here on this live broadcast and we'll discuss all matters at transfers. Transfer news and making the rounds as we draw closer to the close of the January transfer window. But before maybe we dig into that, just the news that just came in is the UEFA Champions League draws for the for the playoff round before the final round of 16. And in that, we will have Real Madrid up against Manchester City. These two sides meeting, I think, for the fourth consecutive season. In the last three occasions, Man City advancing twice, and then Real Madrid also advancing on the other occasion. They did first meet in that 2020 COVID season, for those of you that do remember, among other things. And then last season, they did meet again, and Real Madrid knocked out Manchester City on penalties. But more notably, in 2023, Man City knocked out Real Madrid on their way to winning the treble that included the UEFA Champions League title, Lodric in the final that won them their first Champions League title. So that is the very important news coming from that side. In the other draws that should interest you as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned, Brest are up against Paris Saint-Germain, while Atlanta will entertain Club Rouge. Man City, like I said, up against Real Madrid, while Juventus will take on PSV Eindhoven. Monaco will be up against Porto's Benfica, while Sporting CP will entertain Borussia Dortmund. Celtic and Bayern Munich do have a date on their hands there in the UEFA Champions League, as well as Feyenoord up against AC Milan. That is the playoff draws from the UEFA Champions League. Anyway, let's speak all matters transfers. Now, as we woke up this morning, we did awake to the news that Tottenham had agreed a deal in principle with Bayern Munich over the transfer of Matthias Tel. Now, the young striker has been subject to speculation with interest from the Saudi Pro League. Al Ahly there from the Saudi Pro League are interested, as well as Aston Villa are interested in his services. Not to mention, Chelsea is also keen to signing the youngster. But reports also do mention that the player has yet to say yes to Tottenham. So I think he's still weighing his options, but his exit from AFC Bayern Munich seems imminent. But Tottenham did make a £50 million bid for the player, and they do have an agreement between club to club on principle about the transfer fee of the young striker, who had also in recent days been linked with a potential move to Arsenal. So that's that on the front of transfers. At West Ham United, West Ham are exploring a deal to sign Ivan Ferguson from Brighton and Hove Albion. Remember, West Ham United are now under the charges of manager Graham Potter, who was formerly at Brighton and Hove Albion, so he's well aware of Ivan Ferguson's potential and would like to sign him to the Hammers, where he is currently plying his trade there. That is almost a year and a half or so after he did part ways with Chelsea when his contract was terminated, or when he was shown the exit. So clearly, still speaking matters, Brighton and Hove Albion, they did turn down a £54 million bid from Al Nassr for their attacking midfielder or winger in Kaoru Mitoma. Now, reports, according to the BBC Sport, do suggest that Al Nassr have pulled out of the deal. They will not be going further with their interest in Kaoru Mitoma. But yesterday, I did get info from CBS's Sport, James Bench there, saying that Al Nassr could return with a bid in the region of £90 million for Kaoru Mitoma. So we'll wait to see on that. Then in the Italian Serie A, Alvaro Morata, who plies his trade at AC Milan, is on the verge of joining Galatasaray. Looks like his career with AC Milan could be short-lived, because Galatasaray are really interested in signing the Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, so, and even Juventus. Yes, did play for them at some point. He also did play for Chelsea. For those of you that do remember, hi Dan. Yes, thank you for joining the live broadcast. So, like I was saying, they are exploring the deal to sign Alvaro Morata and take him to Galatasaray. So we'll wait to see how that deal also spans out, whether it can go through. Now, Napoli have also gone to the Saudi Pro League wanting to sign Santi Maximin, the former Newcastle United attacking winger. There, in the wake of speculation that a deal may fail to be done between them and Manchester United for Alejandro Garnacho. So they're exploring their options. They are spoken to Anderlecht, I think, for a player called Amuzu in a way of trying to fill that gap that was left by Kivicha Kvaratskhelia, who has since joined PSG. Now, speaking of PSG are letting go of Xavi Simons, or Xavi Simons. There, the Dutch forward is joining RB Leipzig in a deal believed to be worth about 81 million euros altogether. Now, I do think that's a very interesting deal. Now, those reports are according to Fabrizio Romano. Now, I find that very interesting. Why? Because it does open a window or perhaps a negotiating room for Arsenal to go to explore the option of signing Benjamin Sesko. Now, why? Because then that means RB Leipzig have replacement for a striker for Benjamin Sesko should he leave the club. But as far as we are informed as of today, the club that is in RB Leipzig are not willing to let Benjamin Sesko leave them this January, but Arsenal are desperate to sign a striker. Yesterday, if you did watch our episodes, or one of our episodes, we did speak about Arsenal's bid for Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, a bid that was worth £60 million, with speculation having it that they could return with a second bid after that £60 million bid had been rejected for the 29-year-old England striker. So, looks like things are heating up at the moment as far as we draw closer to the deadline of the January transfer window. Of joining Al Nassr, that is in the Saudi Pro League there. So that means that Aston Villa would then be hesitant to let go of Ollie Watkins once that deal is closed, because they wouldn't want to lose two strikers in the same window, especially when they're still playing in the UEFA Champions League. They try to compete. Sorry about that. They are trying to compete for the top four, and they are still in the FA Cup. So clearly, they wouldn't want to let both strikers live in the same window. Now, still speaking matters Aston Villa. So let's return now to the English Premier League, because there's a lot of interconnected news or reports that if one player moves in one direction, it could then determine a player from that club moving into another direction. So let's speak matters Aston Villa. Aston Villa are interested in signing Chelsea forward João Felix. Now remember, they did hold interest in signing João Felix from Atletico Madrid last summer, but were put off by the players asking demands as far as salary was concerned. So they couldn't make that deal happen. The player ended up going to Chelsea. Well, things have, I wouldn't say they haven't worked for him, but given the limited amount of playing time he's had, I think he's sort of shown what he's capable of. He's actually been very active as far as their escapades or their efforts in the UEFA Conference League are concerned. He scored a couple of goals in there. So along with the likes of Mark Guehi, who have been on target in that competition, and Noni Madueke, among others. So Aston Villa are exploring a deal to sign João Felix there from Chelsea. So that maybe, would that mean that they would, if they would land João Felix, then they would consider letting go Ollie Watkins? I do not think so, because the two players are of a different profile. This one is, I wouldn't say typically a winger, although he prefers playing off the flanks and then sometimes as a 10. So that cannot be ruled out. And then Still, Aston Villa are exploring a deal to sign Marco Asensio, the former Real Madrid forward, from Paris Saint-Germain. Now, Marco Asensio is predominantly a 10. At least that's how I view him. So that means if they are able to sell Marco Asensio, who they felt interest in for a bit of time now, given what I've been following, that would mean maybe it would again open their options of considering the sale of Oli Watkins in this transfer window, because that would mean they do have another forward in their ranks, a very high profile forward in Marco Asensio, a UEFA Champions League winner who is destined to leave PSG this transfer window should things fall into place in the right way. So those are some of the key transfer news making the rounds. Of course, yesterday we did speak about Eindhoven. You can watch that full episode on the channel. It was uploaded. Eindhoven, the Arsenal youngster, heading to Manchester United. At the same time, United are trying to sign Patrick Tobu, the left back from Lecce. Last summer, they did sign Chido Martin Obi from Arsenal, another Arsenal youngster. Now, of course, both those youngsters, including Eindhoven, Arsenal had given table for them GC contracts, but they did not budge. So clearly, Arsenal seems to be on an upward trajectory of losing youngsters, of their youngsters, their rivals in Manchester United. So there's that. So that's some of the key transfer news that is making the rounds. But just to catch you up on the other matters so that you do not miss out. We did speak about Alvaro Morata. We did speak about that deal. Then at Barcelona, things have gone a bit cold. Yes, they were exploring the deal to sign Marcus Rashford from Manchester United on a short-term loan, but then it begged, for me personally, it begged the question of where will he play, especially in the presence of Lamine Yamal, in the presence of Ferran Torres, in the presence of Rafinha, and all that kind of thing. But you never know, maybe Hansi Flick has other ideas that he could slot Marcus Rashford in there. Meanwhile, Arthur Melo is on the verge of joining Girona there. For those of you that do remember, Arthur Melo, a couple of years back, was signed to Barcelona as the new Iniesta, the new Xavi kind of player. It didn't work out. He went to Juventus. It didn't work out. He went to Liverpool on loan. It didn't work out. He returned, and he's just been that kind of player. So he is on the verge of joining Girona. That is according to Fabrizio Romano there. So that means he will go to Girona on a short-term loan and then return to Juventus in the summer. That is in June 2025. So clubs are trying to make the moves, but Saudi Pro Leagues have been very intentional. Of course, Atlanta did sign Miguel Almiron from Newcastle. That deal is complete. And then I think did Newcastle have to lose him? Maybe it was the right fee for his kind of player. I think the fee is about £10 million or something there or so, like we did say. And then, of course, we've spoken about Alan Saint-Maximin, the former Newcastle winger who is at Al Hilal in the Saudi Pro League. That Napoli are interested. Looks like Antonio Conte is really trying to do everything that it takes for him to try and sign a replacement for Ivica Kvaratskhelia, who they did lose in this transfer window to PSG. Yes, so that's some of the news that is making the rounds. Do let me know down in the comments section. Do let me know what you think down in the comment section. I can see Bethany. Yes, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for following the broadcast. Do let me know what you think of those players that you think your club should be making moves for especially as we draw closer to the close of the January transfer window, because some of your teams are still in the UEFA Champions League, they're still in the Europa League, some of them are still in the FA, they're trying to compete in the Premier League, either to win it or finish in the top 4 or finish in a Europa League place, and that kind of thing. That's in the Premier League. Spanish La Liga, similar situation. German Bundesliga, Italian Serie A, the French League One. Do let me know what you think, what your teams should be doing in the market to better position themselves to have a better second half of the season. For most of the teams, or for most of the leagues, we are already into the second part of the season, but usually the close of January sort of switches that second part of the season into high gear. So do let me know what your thoughts are, what you think, the kind of players that you think your teams should be trying to sign. Enzo Maresca at Chelsea has said he's not closing the door to either exits or incomings. Now, personally, for me, it will beg the question, what players are Chelsea trying to sign and why are they trying to sign them anyway? We do know they hold interest in Manchester United's Alejandro Garnacho. We do know that they hold interest in signing Matthias Tel. We do know that they've explored an option to try and sign, what's his name? Victor Osimhen, the Napoli striker that is on loan at Galatasaray. Yes, maybe they could use another striker to help Nicholas Jackson, but they also do have Christopher Nkunku, who has been subject to transfer speculation with the potential move to AFC Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich do not deny those reports. They do hold strong interest in signing Christopher Nkunku for your teams, for what that means for Bayern Munich, what that means for Chelsea, and that kind of thing. So clearly, then at Arsenal, the other news that was confirmed, that was during the UEFA Champions League match on Wednesday. I think this was confirmed by Celtic manager in Brandon Rodgers, who did confirm that their former player in Kian Tierney, the Arsenal left back, will be joining them in the summer. Now, here's what happened. I think back in 2018, yes, when Unai Emery was the manager at Arsenal went to Celtic and signed Kieran Tierney. He was quite a liberation of a left back, although the kind of traditional left back. He came, played very well, had very good crosses, was very strong defensively, and all that kind of thing. But his Arsenal career was hampered by injuries. I do remember a point in time where Arsenal fans were so impressed by his performances that they did consider him as a future captain for the club. So he was that big a deal at Arsenal. And he's one of those players that you watched and appreciated. I do remember in that season when they did play, I think in the Europa League, I think he did provide an assist for either Bukayo Saka or I think, no, it was Gabriel Martinelli scoring the header. I do not remember who they were playing exactly, but clearly he was that good a player. And like I said, in the long run, his career was hampered with injuries. And then last season, he went out on loan to Real Sociedad, and then again suffered a bit of injury here. He returned to Arsenal, went for the Euros with Scotland. During the Euros, he suffered another bad injury that kept him out for the beginning of the season. Remember, Arsenal had wanted to sell him in the summer, but because he was injured, no club was coming in for him, and that kind of thing. So eventually, he returned from injury, and he's featured in some Arsenal games as a substitute, and he's done, I thought, quite well. But looks like that Arsenal will be counting their losses on that £25 million that they did spend to sign the Scottish left back and let him go for free in the summer, because he will be returning to his club there in Celtic. So do let me know what the thoughts are. Again, yesterday, as we spoke about matters, Manchester United, we did explore slightly in the future in terms of the players that they could lose in the summer. The likes of Johnny Evans, I do consider they may leave the club. The likes of Victor Lindelof, the likes of Christian Eriksen, the likes of Casemiro, Marcus Rashford. I mean, for him, it kind of has this feeling that the writing is on the wall that his Manchester United career is as good as done, although he's still 27 years of age. Now, yesterday, I saw a devil's advocate. I don't know if he qualifies for a devil's advocate, but I was following clip by is it Mark Goldbridge? Yes, the Manchester United fan was saying, why would Arsenal be spending 60 million pounds to sign a 29-year-old striker in Oli Watkins when they can't spend 40 million pounds and sign Marcus Rashford? Now, here's the school of thought for me, or my view on the opinion. I'm not saying he's wrong entirely, because I also do wonder, why would Arsenal be willing to spend 60 million pounds on a 29-year-old when back in the days they lost Robin van Persie to Manchester United for 30 million pounds, and he went on to Manchester United and won that 2013 Premier League title, Alex Ferguson's last title. Of course, he's since been deemed betrayal at Arsenal, but that notwithstanding, he was he had reached his 30s, and then so you're wondering, the comparison for me on Marcus Rashford and Oli Watkins, who is the better goal scorer? Any day, I would give the nod to Oli Watkins, because he's a natural striker, in my view, as opposed to Marcus Rashford, who is predominantly a winger or a 10. That's how I view Marcus Rashford. Then the other thing, for the last 1.5 seasons, Marcus Rashford has not featured. Ever since he was given that bumper contract, that big contract that earns him £350,000 a week, he's not been the same player. I do not know whether it was due to the contract or that the money that came with it got into the way, but I've always made the argument that he seems to be dealing with issues other than football. He seems to be dealing with some personal issues off the pitch that have in one way hampered his performances on the pitch. And then when it comes to being on the pitch, it has not helped that maybe his managers, especially in Ruben Amorim, have not been so parental in the way they've handled him. I think this, I picked this from Real Madrid manager in Carlo Ancelotti, who likes to cuddle players. He's usually that father figure. And then I do take it to Arsene Wenger. I do remember in his way of handling Mesut Ozil, he said he needed to be loved, he needed to be patient-free for him to deliver for you. And that I do not think has changed. I think it is similar to what Marcus Rashford maybe needed in this time. Now, in the latter days of Eric Tenner, sorry, forgive the noise, guys, if you hear any noises from the background. Kids are driving their toy car and that kind of thing, and there's not much I can do about that. To limit the noise, I try to close the windows so that we do not get so much impact, but it still does come through anyways. So forgive that if it does affect your listening capabilities. So, like I was saying, in the later days of Eric Tenner, he tried to give him playing time. I mean, I remember all the criticism that came with it from Manchester United fans, including me myself, who is not a Manchester United fan. I did criticize the amount of playing time he was giving him at the time, especially at the time when he was not delivering. But then somehow things had started to fall in place for him. He scored a couple of goals here and there, and then things went back to to the bad situation. And then it looks like Ruben Amorim does think that he does not give 100% in training, so he has no justification for having him in his matchday squad and that kind of thing. So if he is that kind of player that for the last 1.5 seasons has not really delivered, for Arsenal, who are desperate for goals, their failure is not in creating chances, but oftentimes in putting that ball in the back of the net. Why would you not take a proven goal scorer like Oli Watkins, who is banging the goals of Aston Villa, even including this week when he scored against Celtic as a big player by 4 goals to 2 in the UEFA Champions League? A kind of player that scored about 22 goals last season in the Premier League without a single penalty. Why would you not take that player? Forget the age profile there for a second. Let's say you're Arsenal and you envision, you're saying, we're in a good place. We're still second on the Premier League table. We're playing Man City this weekend. And if we go win that game, that means we go 9 points clear of Manchester City, but also close the gap potentially on Liverpool should they fail to beat up against FC Bournemouth, who they play this weekend. Remember, Bournemouth did put, what was it? They did put 4 past Newcastle in that 4-1 victory. They did put 5 past Nottingham Forest. So clearly, Bournemouth are capable of denting Liverpool's title hopes. So if you ask me thinking, okay, maybe I need a bit of luck here, that Bournemouth does beat up against Liverpool or force them in great draw. I beat Man City, I move it points closer to Liverpool, despite the fact that they do have a game in hand, and then widen the gap on Man City and possibly Chelsea or Nottingham Forest. So would I take Oli Watkins over Marcus Rashford? The straight answer is yes. That is if we do not have to go into the mathematics of the money. Why? Because as far as the money is concerned, I do feel the figure is exaggerated. But then it's an English player tax that comes on his head. For those of you that remember when Arsenal was selling Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for £35 million to Liverpool, I didn't think he was worth that much. We all do remember Andy Carroll leaving again Newcastle to go to Liverpool, how expensive he was bought. I did not agree with that figure, but that is potentially a debate for another day. So, for you, if you are an Arsenal fans, the Arsenal fans on the channel, those that do follow us, do help us answer this question. Between Marcus Rashford and Oli Watkins, who would you buy, regardless of the cost of buying? For a second, bear it in your mind that it is not your money, it's Stan Kroenke's money, and make a choice, Rashford or Oli Watkins. Personally, I would go with Oli Watkins. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? So clearly, there's plenty to go around as far as the transfers are concerned. But so that's some of the major news, dominating or making the ones from the world of transfers. Maybe in the other options, then we do have. We've spoken about Marco Asensio's pending move to Aston Villa, and then we do know, yes, another player that we cannot live without talking about is Matheus Cunha. Matheus Cunha, the Wolverhampton Wanderers forward, the Brazilian international, formerly at Recommend, has been subject to speculation, with Nottingham Forest expressing interest in wanting to sign him, just as much as Arsenal have been reported that they are actively following the events of Matheus Cunha. I do know Manchester United have also been mentioned in that similar line. Now, Matheus Cunha is a very decent player, a very good 10, does score the goals, a very industrious player. I do appreciate him personally. He's still in his prime, 25 years of age. That's a kind of player you can bet yourself on. However, I do think that the demanding fees, with 2.5 years left to his contract, the demanding fees from Wolverhampton Wanderers that are reported to be in the region of 70 to 80 million pounds is a little too high a price tag for his services. So that's the other player that is being mooted around as far as transfer speculation goes in this January transfer window. Then the other player is former Liverpool captain in Jordan Henderson. Yes, the England midfielder is on the verge, possibly, of leaving Ajax to AS Monaco in France. Remember, he did join Ajax last year in January, I think, on the verge when he left El Ettifaq, that from the Saudi Pro League, then, and he joined Ajax. He played for Ajax because he needed that playing time for him to be summoned to the England national team that was going to play in the Euros 2024 and that kind of thing. So anyway, he's been at Ajax ever since then, and now AS Monaco are exploring a deal to sign the 34-year-old England international from Ajax. Yeah. So do keep it on Football Drive, and we'll try do our best to keep you abreast of those facts, those details as they do come through. I hope my microphone is still on. Sometimes it does give up, and you don't know. Like I said, apologies for any background noise that you may experience in this broadcast. And then the other news or speculation that did make the ones in this January transfer window was Arsenal's supposed interest in Newcastle's Anthony Gordon, but that died quickly. I do not know where the reports were coming from, but in the wake of Everton losing their striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin to a hamstring injury, they may want to find a replacement for David Moyes as they try to battle relegation. I know they are about 7 points above the relegation zone now, following that 1-0 victory against Brighton and Hove Albion, subsequent to the 3-2 victory against Tottenham Hotspurs. So clearly, they may want to sign somebody there for the replacement as far as things go. And then, yeah, possibly that's the most of it. Allow me keep it at that. Allow us leave it at that as far as the transfer speculation goes, as far as the transfer news goes. But do keep it locked on the channel. You can catch me on X at Circles_K and on Facebook at Robert K. James. Those are at Robert K. Circles. Sorry, yes, and all other platforms. That is on TikTok. We are there at Football Tribe UG. So if you're new to the channel, do not forget to kindly subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to like, comment, and share. And we will meet next time. Otherwise, we may return on here depending on what news does break for us in the wake of as we draw closer to the end of the January transfer window. Allow us keep it at that, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed and have a wonderful start to your weekend.